Wonderful. This is actually my favorite Protoss matchup by a landslide. It is so much fun, I think. Do you have a preference? Do you have a preferred matchup, Roddy?
Yes, PvZ. I love PvZ.
Oh, true that.
Why? You mean to play or to watch?
To play, I like it to watch as well, quite a bit. Yeah, but
I love watching PvP. I do not enjoy playing it, but I love watching it.
Oh, really? Yeah, I really like playing it. I think it's just so there's just so much. It's like a lot of chaos, a lot of different. It feels like everything's viable, basically.
Yes, but I don't know. I don't get too happy when I realize I went for a defensive opening and my opponent went Nexus first, a one-gate Nexus, and I'm 12 workers behind. I'm like, well, this game is just not going to be enjoyable.
Yeah, I tend to like the gateway Nexus openings a lot, though. I feel like this opening, the double gate, has been extremely common, but for the first time in a while, we've seen a little bit more mix-ups, right? How do you feel about those openings? Like, are they to be figured out? Do they have a place stable, or...?
I think it depends a lot on the map and whether or not there's a ramp going into the natural, because high ground vision is everything. So on this map, there is an even surface in the natural. So I think it makes a little more sense. We see a lot of two-gate openings. But I think if we get to see Oxide or Pillars of Gold, there's a very good chance that one of these nerds at least is going for a one-gate fast expand. And I think it's always good, unless your opponent planned all along, to proxy their second pylon and actually proxy a building there, whether it's a Robo or a Stargate. Then I think you can shut them down and you can punish them. But if your opening is very standard, like two-gate, both pylons at home, or maybe one pylon out on the map, but you're not planning on doing anything with it, and then you realize your opponent went for a quick expand, I don't think there's too much you can really do about it anymore.
Yeah, I find one of the hardest things to hold is things like 4 gates off of one base when you go for the one-gate expands. I think that the other proxies can be kind of scouted. The Immortal can be a little bit annoying, but I don't know. There are I think strong transitions. I personally like starport transitions out of the one-gate expand, though this game is not that, and it's a mirror with both players opening starport.
Yeah, Stargates on either side, and that makes me wonder if we're going to see Oracles or Phoenixes. I feel that DnS could very well sprinkle in a Phoenix build here. SKillous, I'm expecting to open up with an Oracle, but most likely it's Oracle on both sides, because most of these nerds, they just don't really believe in Phoenixes in PvP.
Strangely enough, if they knew of each other's Stargates, then that would have to be a strong option, right? Both Stalkers are going to find, both groups of Stalkers are going to find each other, and it looks like DnS is going to take the better end of that trade, though no one really dies.
It's a Void Ray for SKillous. All right, so SKillous is going full Max Packs Goblin on us over here. Defensive Void Rays will often only transition into more Void Rays, and then later on an Immortal or Robo as well. And we get to see a good old Immortal Void Ray mix. I think if DnS gets a little bit of damage with his first Oracle. Wait, it's Void Ray into Oracle? Who does that? Is that even a thing?
I'm not sure. I do like the defensive Void Rays myself, just because it counters the Oracle, for instance, and it's good against the Stalkers as well. However, with the Void Ray outside, the Oracle is going to have a chance to reposition and not run through the unit's vision. That's exactly what DnS is going to do. So this Oracle on the other side is going to be deadly, Roddy.
Yep, especially in the natural. The main base has a shield battery, but the natural doesn't, and I think getting 4 or 5 kills is more than enough for your first Oracle. I think DnS, if he was paying attention, he could have maybe seen that Oracle from SKillous making it to the other side of the map as well. I mean, it's great that you're dealing damage, obviously, to the mineral lines of SKillous, but you need to survive at home, and I guess with battery overcharge, he will survive. DnS doing a really good job microing in this game. Does finally end up losing his first rocket. Right when I say it, he loses the second one as well.
Yeah, he moved a little bit too close forward, as you were praising him, as we can often tend to do, is to curse the players consistently. But now it's going to be SKillous pushing on forward, though the Void Ray out for DnS will quash the Void Ray of SKillous quickly.
All right,
this is big trap, though.
This is the chaos that you were talking about. Yeah, that's a proper stasis ward in the main base, getting 3 probes. That's nice, of course. What a wild opening. I mean, 5 minutes in, we've had Void Rays flying to the other side of the map, both players making one. Now DnS still has a Void Ray alive, and obviously still has his Oracle cruising on the side of SKillous. I mean, PvP is just a clown fiesta sometimes.
I am a fan. Is this, who do you favor here? I would tend to favor the Void Ray and the Oracle out on the map, right?
SKillous has much quicker blink. I don't know, Cats. I think it's very even, right? Like, sometimes it's just even. Yeah, they've got different tools to work with. SKillous obviously having quicker blink is going to give him some map control, I'd say, but I don't think he's super far ahead or something.
Yeah, and this was a pretty cool exchange in that sense, because they went for completely different orders of units, but both players finding enough damage that the game seems to have stabilized for the most part. There is a Forge coming online for actually both players, mirroring each other more or less.
Oh, DNS! Oh, that's bad. Sorry, Cats, but just randomly lost his Oracle in the main base, and that is honestly a very expensive loss on this level. Having an Oracle alive is so important for those non-stop revelations, potential stasis trap later on, and obviously if you have an Oracle out, you force SKillous to always keep a couple of units at home, so that's honestly a mistake that you're not supposed to make.
Yeah, both players are going to take their thirds at the same time. All that said, I don't know if either one of them is going to find a great opening to do damage. Though I imagine SKillous should be moving out on the map with the blink soon, right? Because you can't really catch those stalkers once you get the blink. So I'm surprised he's sitting back still.
Oh, he is getting a pylon already on the other side of the map though, Cats, so you may get what you're asking for.
I sure hope so, and that's a cool pylon indeed. A gateway will be added as well, I think. Is it a gateway? Yeah, it's a gateway added there, so to facilitate the warp ins. With that said, though, on the other side, he's gonna meet a very similar army and potentially shield batteries that were not neglected at DNS third. So, yeah, I'm not sure.
There are always people who take a break from StarCraft 2 and come back and are wondering why is he building a gateway there. There's two types of warp ins, quick warp ins and slow warp ins. If it's just a pylon, it's a slow warp in. If a warp gate is connected or a nexus, it becomes a quick warp in. SKillous will just die for this army of DNS. Shield batteries are so damn good though, but Big Daddy Void Ray is still alive from the early game. It's going to push his army back, and now the nexus finishes up, which gives DNS the potential to drop a overcharge as well on the shield battery.
Yeah, and it wouldn't much matter because both +1 attacks are kind of synced, but I'm not sure if SKillous should be so confident that that's the case. So I would have liked to see him still wait for his +1 before maybe even poking at this point. Yet still, I mean, this game is anyone's. It seems like it's fairly even.
Yeah, but it's kind of bad for SKillous that he doesn't have a robo. Like, I'd be very terrified not having a robo, and that's why he's getting cannons as well. At this point, SKillous is going to build a robo. It's going to take a little while. He's looking for an opening. I don't think you get much here. And SKillous agrees. He gets one probe, and he's like, well, more than I expected. I'm out of here.
Yeah. I guess he could have caught like a unit in transition. I mean, he did catch a unit in transition, but that's all he'll get. Now, what is the transition for these players? We see a fast +2 on the side of SKillous, where it has been neglected on the side of DNS. Is this very important moving on forward? There's the +2 actually.
Yeah. Oh, well, there goes the Oracle as well. Obviously, it's a lot harder to keep your Oracles alive, and Blink is out on the map. Yes, upgrades are important, but they're all pretty close across the board. Like, I think this is shaping up to be a really fun PvP. What I wonder about right now is somebody gonna go double robo with the Robo Bay, and are we gonna see Disruptors? Will somebody play Colossus? Like, Colossus are good if your opponent doesn't have Disruptors. But if your opponent does have Disruptors, then I don't think you want to go Colossi. Now, SKillous is a master of just running around with Blink Stalkers, Zealots, and DTs. He can be so annoying and gave us a couple of great games at, I think, DreamHack Masters fall. So there is a chance that he won't tech up and DNS will tech up, and that's going to be really fun for us.
All right, so we'll see that tug of war coming into play most likely as the game progresses. DNS has dropped a second robo and is going for that robotics bay transition, whereas SKillous is going for the Dark Shrine. So both players more or less playing their parts. We'll see if SKillous... It's going to be on SKillous to find something, right, Roddy? If DNS continues to scale up and gets a more complex army, then head-on fight is not something that SKillous will ever be able to take.
Yep, and this is the stuff he's looking for. DNS not canceling the Nexus. I find that really odd. I mean, I know he was busy killing a pylon, but how much attention can that really take? Apparently enough for him not to cancel the Nexus. He's going to rebuild it immediately. He's feeling confident that he can win this fight, even though he's down an upgrade, and the Zealous is kind of running in one by one, dying one by one. I gotta say, the last 30 seconds in this game were excellent for SKillous.
Most definitely, and I love charge slots against Blink Stalkers. I think that DNS has the right idea, but SKillous is so masterful just abusing that choke and knowing that he can retreat there, and if his opponent is to chase him, he's just gonna hold his position there, so he gets great trades in spite of having an army that, you know, in a straight up fight wouldn't fare as well.
Yep. DnS is going to try to see where that army is at. Finds one stalker in the center. SKillous is going to lose that. I'm starting to get a bit worried here for SKillous, because if DnS would just grab everything right now and start marching towards the other side of the map, like, there's no way SKillous can fight. SKillous can only play the rat style, as they would say in Warcraft 3, which is just avoid the fight. I guess in Dota they say it as well, right? I know you play some.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hellstorm, yeah, and a bunch of ratting all over the place. Certs are kind of ratty too.
Yep. So basically, you're just avoiding the fight and you're going for base trades, and that's exactly what SKillous is going to do here. He has Dark Templars killing the fort base, while the Stalkers are going to take down this one. I would say kill that Robo as well. It's always nice to kill a Robo, especially if you can kill both Robos. Oh, that Disruptor could fire, but no, it doesn't. Well, Cats, this game is going to go nuts as well.
Yes, indeed. Again, the stronger army potentially on the side of DnS. So we're heading towards a base trade. I think SKillous is going to make quicker work of the economy of DnS. Already, SKillous, anticipating that he's going to have to evacuate, has taken a few probes to the corner of the map. What's up, Brody?
Why didn't he kill that Observer? He had like a minute to kill the Observer. Like, when it's base trade time, I always look at the amount of Observers that are out. And the SKillous did finally take out that Observer, and that means there's only one Observer left for DnS, which, I mean, obviously, you know, you could say that maybe Disruptors can kill DTs, even if you can't see them. But with only a single Obs, don't fly your Observer into a cannon! Oh my god. Okay, he has to be so careful.
Yes, indeed. I mean, there is the lifeline for DnS. He has to really safeguard it with his life, and there's DTs out on the side of SKillous already. He has revealed them, but I don't think it matters at this point. It's not like DnS can just crank out more observers as a result.
Okay, DnS is just gonna lose all his buildings. Like, he doesn't have any probes on the other side of the map, and unless I'm blind, I don't see... No, he's got nothing. He's got no probes. He's gonna lose all the buildings. This game is just going to end without a fight. That's it.
Oh, well, sad.
Wait, a pylon!
No, there's one pylon. There's one pylon. No, GG. What is this?
SKillous takes game 1. I mean, I was kind of hyping up his style of like just running around with Stalkers and Zealots and being annoying. I feel like it's not supposed to be that easy. To be fair, I can't blame DnS for thinking like, hey, this is a pretty good moment to attack, because my army is almost the same size as your army, but I've got the stronger units, so why don't I try to be aggressive? I did expect him to recall eventually. I didn't expect him to lose all 3 Nexi, never recall, and then not even have a single probe out on the map either.
Yeah, it's a very difficult situation, right? Like, you would have to know exactly what SKillous is doing and identify that, you know, your army scales much better. And then what? Do you leave Disruptors behind? Maybe like a couple of Disruptors in the back? Would that do it?
Yeah, I mean, he had one Disruptor that popped, and I really thought it was going to get a massive shot because SKillous just blinked forward, but it felt like he wasn't in one-shotting range of that Disruptor. I was like, oh, but nope, then he got it. Yeah, or maybe a few more static defenses, but I think even after you kill the fort base, I was like, okay, maybe it's time to recall now, because I can see that this is not going very well. He had the more complex army, but he obviously didn't have the better army in a straight-up base trade.
Yeah, because SKillous was so much more mobile as well. He doesn't have to babysit his units or wait around. He can just blink around freely, and yeah, he did exactly just that with the DTs. Also, would have been the saving grace. Like, even if he didn't kill those buildings, I feel like it was kind of in the bag for SKillous, right?
Yeah, I mean, he was the one also expanding around the map. Like, he could always snipe that final observer, and then you could just let some DTs do their work. Of course, you know, Disruptors can kill Dark Templars, but that would still be very annoying. I feel that SKillous could just run circles forever. Like, I encourage the move out of DnS, so it's hypocritical to say, like, he shouldn't have moved out. Because I kind of thought, like, yeah, this seems like an okay moment to move out. But yeah, I do think you eventually have to realize that, oh, maybe we made a boo-boo here. And maybe I need to recall some stuff at home. But yeah, he just never recalled.
Yeah, and that's just the thing, is we are watching SKillous, but he is one of very few players willing to play like this. So it's very difficult to know how it'll unfold, whereas he is ready to try. Like, he already has probes outside of his base. He's been here before, you can tell, hundreds of times, right? It's like, yeah, base trade me. I know how that plays out. So, so yeah, he should know best and shows it. Now, spawning in the top left-hand side, it's the Russian blue Protoss player for Cascade, SKillous.
And in the bottom right side of Death Aura, we're looking at the main base of that other Protoss player, also from Cascade. It is DnS.
Okay. Both players most likely going for the double gateway opening again, judging by the positioning here. Or do you ever see one gate expands with high ground pylons?
Yes, I guess. Yeah, I have seen it. I mean, people are crazy, man. You see it. You see everything on the ladder, cats. On professional play, though, probably not that much, no.
Yeah. All right. So curious to see what units are going to be made. SKillous scouting around for proxies, interestingly enough. So that shows that's a little bit of a show of confidence in his ability to take it to the mid and later games, perhaps.
Well, this map is sick for cannon rushes, man. Like, I actually lose against cannons all the time on Death Tower. It's so annoying.
Yeah, is that because it's just they basically siege the Nexus right away, as well as your everything's in proximity?
Yeah, it's just it's so easy to wall off. They always get that little 3 pylon thing going, and I gotta say, now that I look at it from an observer point of view, it feels like there's a lot of space between the ramp and that mineral. Like, I'm having a personal freak out moment.
The ramp and the mineral.
Yeah.
Well, I think the cannon rush actually here reaches the Nexus, right? And the gateway is much sooner than cannon rushes on other maps, because it's actually closer, I think, the ramp to the main than on most maps.
I almost feel like we're playing a different version than I get on the ladder, but it says ladder edition, so I guess not. I don't know how they always cannon rush me here, but I feel like it's unbreakable. Because normally I feel like 1 pylon makes it in... Yeah, I guess this is a little 3 pylon setup. I don't know.
I mean, I'm with you. It's a good cannon rush map, I think.
Yeah, it's an
Let's see.
cannon rush map.
Yeah, there's a sentry and a stalker coming up. DnS concerned with the probe of SKillous not making it out of his base. DnS will also drop a pylon on the other side to make sure that he knows what units are coming out. It's gonna be 2 stalkers, so he should be fine. And I think the sentry's a little bit of the greedier play here, right? Like the better scaling, barely play.
Yes, I think sentries are always like a sign of play that's confident. Like Showtime always plays with sentries, right? And it's like, all right, just gonna scout non-stop, see what you're up to. Both players are going for Stargate once again. I'm so confused about the amount of space there is between the ramp and the mineral. Because I could swear that they normally just build 1 pylon and then my probes can't enter. But I guess they get a little triangle setup. I've been cannon rushed a million times on this map. I probably just blacked it out of my brain, like how they do it.
All right, so we have very similar openings from both players in both maps. This time around, SKillous did make 4 stalkers. So DnS doesn't quite have the defenses ready, but with that shield battery coming up and finishing, I think he's gonna be just fine.
Yep, you should be more than fine. I myself have tried 384 times to out-micro a shield battery, and I've never won, cats. I keep trying every single time. I think the best thing you can really do if you want to take a fight like this is to actually just kill the battery. Like, yeah, it's good to see that SKillous suffers from the same ego problem as I have, where you do think you can out-micro a battery, but it's not gonna work.
Yeah, it's just not. I mean, that thing is going to regenerate not just its shields, but shields for everyone else. So these are not traits that you want to be taking. Though there is a stalker that's falling low and the shield battery is out of energy, it's a SKillous that has kind of... No! A force field there could have been deadly, I think, on the corner. But instead the sentry's just going to fall.
I mean, a sentry for a stalker, I'd say that's an all-right trait. I've done a lot worse myself. I've lost all 4 stalkers, not get a single kill. So, you know, not too bad, SKillous. And he's obviously keeping DnS a little bit occupied, so there is a chance that DnS makes a little boo-boo macro-wise. This game, it's actually DnS who opens up with a Void Ray, so he doesn't go Oracle first, he just goes Void Ray first. Everybody's loving the Void Rays these days, don't they?
I am a huge fan of the defensive Void Rays, and this is exactly why, right? Like the Oracle kind of struggles. And oddly enough, I feel like the counter to this, if you're both going Stargate, is Phoenix, right? Phoenixes will still pound for pound trade better with Void Rays, I think.
Yeah, I think it gets very complicated. I used to think the same, but I actually got destroyed by my own son, Goblin, when he just made Void Rays, and I tried to make Phoenixes. It got a little bit weird, but I'm still with you. I'm a believer in the Phoenix, especially if you can get any Impulse Crystals, but obviously there are so many different things to worry about, even though if they go double Stargate, well, then they're obviously very serious about the Void Rays.
Yes, indeed. I mean, we'll see what the response is on the side of SKillous, because last time he was going for Blink, this time he's going for Blink again, and that's kind of really good against Stargate units, generally speaking, though the Void Ray is kind of like the little brother of the Immortal in a certain sense against Stalkers, right? Like, he definitely will stand a better chance than most of anything else that you can make from a Stargate.
Yep. I feel like they're kind of like Goku and Vegeta together against Stargate. Like the dream team. Doesn't really matter how many you have. Now, Archons do become a problem, and obviously, I think Storm is incredibly good against people that just sit there and max out on Void Rays. It's like, well, you know, Storm is not something we talk about very often in PvP, but Storm is excellent against Void Rays.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And if it wasn't for Disruptors, I think Storm would just be kind of decent in PvP. Because even storming just groups of Stalkers or like, you know, the problem is the Disruptor. Because if there's a Disruptor out, then all of your Templars are dead and you can't really micro them around.
No, us Protoss players are not the greatest when it comes to microing units away from Disruptors. We blink away or that's it, cats. We don't do the splitting thing. High Templars are obviously super slow. But you're right, like it is actually a bit underrated because in the past we've had fights where both players had like 10 plus Immortals, right? It's actually amazing to drop a Storm on them. Not necessarily because of the amount of damage, but you activate all the barriers at once. And that makes it a really plus EV play.
Yeah, most definitely. And as the army scales, Storm is always better. And like you were mentioning, especially against things like Void Rays that are all gonna clump up in the same area, it can really start doing damage and zoning out units. So regardless, I mean, SKillous is trying to poke in, but these Void Rays are very strong. Would you think that given this matchup, seeing as there is Blink Stalkers against Void Rays, mobility, I would say, matters a lot? Would you get the Void Ray, the Flux Veins?
Yes, absolutely. Down the line, though. Like, I think at first you want to make sure you don't die. Our observer is showing us as well that SKillous is just casually taking a 4th base at the bottom side of the map. Could work out, because obviously, A, you're going to get quicker warp-ins out of it, but B, if DNS misreads the situation, SKillous shouldn't make these trades. Like, you're just not killing anything here. But if I'm DNS, and I think that my opponent is making Stalkers and Zealots of 3 bases, I'll be like, yeah, baby, I can just turtle off. Like, you ain't breaking me. But if SKillous is secretly on 4 bases, there is a good chance that DNS is going to misread the situation in a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean, he won't figure it out for at least a little while because he has to take a 4th first and then decide that that's the 5th that he wants on the side of DNS to scout it, really. And the further cool thing is seeing as how the last game unfolded, there is a good chance that this ends up going for a base trade, and what better base to have than one on the opposing side of your own base, right? Like
yeah, I love it.
That's pretty cool too.
Yep, DNS scouts right now with a hallucinated Phoenix, and he sees a Nexus go up. And if I was him, once again, I'd just be really confident. I'd be like, damn, it's 3 base against 3 base for this long. He's like, my army is way better than your army. Like, I'm loving this game right now. But yeah, Cheeky SKillous already having a 4th base. Even if he doesn't have too many probes there, it will start adding up. And there's a good chance indeed that this is going to be a very long game. So taking away any minerals from your opponent's side of the map is also awesome.
Yeah, also playing from the last game, it's gonna be a lot more hesitation on the side of DNS to move out, right? Last time he moved out, he got punished so hard. And this is a particularly slow army as well, so I don't think he's gonna be too overeager to do just that. So he seems contained, and I kind of like things for SKillous here, but does he need... Oh, look at that, Templar Archives, buddy.
Well, I thought you were going to say, does he need 90 probes? And I'm like, well, that's a little much, but yeah, I guess he really does want to kind of play like a Zerg. Like, in a way, Zealot Stalker becomes Mudaling Bane against a Terran player, right? Where it's like you just keep throwing units at your opponent eventually. But SKillous is not doing that. He's also building a lot of Stargates. I don't mind having the transition ready, but it is important that he doesn't just try to max out on a similar army, because then he's going to lose the fight because of his ridiculous high amount of probes.
Yes, exactly. His army won't scale nearly as well, and it will be capped. So I was liking the idea of the Templar Archives for potentially the Storm that we were pre-facing, but it looks like it's not on Skillous' playbook here. And to be fair, there's also a Disruptor already out on the side of DNS.
Yeah, I think Skillous is going to keep trading. Look at this. He's surrounding DNS. I kind of like the way that Skillous is playing this game, man. It's been really smart. It's just like, all right, you can have your 3 bases. This is Legacy of the Void. 10 minutes into the game, there won't be too much left to mine from in your main base. And I also know that in 2-3 minutes from now... Oh, good job there. In 2-3 minutes from now, even your natural isn't that important anymore. So at that point, you know, at best, you're a 2-base Protoss.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised that DNS hasn't managed to establish a fourth up until now, because his army has been strong for a very long time.
Oh,
but again, that positioning and the mobility, right? Like, he wants to make sure, look at how safe he is. Oh my god. Okay, so Rambice won't work.
No, you're gonna have to send a lot of zealots into that. The thing is, though, if you're 94 probes, the funny thing is you can actually keep warping in zealots there. Dark Templars with Blink as well. SKillous is already getting a couple of Tempests, so he knows that, you know, the biggest potential problem could be carriers down the line. He's like, you know what, mate, if you just want to sit at home and max out on carriers, I will get Tempests.
And this is absolutely nasty. Look at that amount of shield batteries with Tempests, which can be recalled to that base as soon as they're made. He can start sieging and pulling back to those shield batteries, and there's like more shield batteries than there will be Tempests, essentially. So that's a really cool setup from SKillous here, who is working with a big supply deficit and a much weaker army, especially as the game transpires.
Yeah, DNS has definitely misread this game a little bit, and I'm totally with you when you said he should have been able to establish a fourth base by now. Of course, SKillous is making great plays, and that's the Nova. That's actually not even going to connect. Like, yeah, SKillous is making great plays in keeping DNS on 3 bases, but DNS should have been on 4 bases at this point regardless.
Yeah, quick snipe of a Void Ray there, I believe. So nice moves by SKillous. This base though, this siege that's coming up, DNS is finally smelling it. He thinks there's something. He knows. Oh,
yeah. He saw it with an hallucinated Phoenix, but I would say it's already a little bit too late. You don't want to fight in range of 11 batteries. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think that's all the sentence we needed. 11 batteries, end of sentence. Because my god, that is a lot of batteries, and the Tempest, of course, is the perfect unit to take an advantage of a setup like this, because it has the longest range in the game, more or less, as far as air units are concerned. So it's looking pretty good for SKillous, who's going to continue to push on this battery contain towards his opponent as well.
Yep, and I mean, this game is going to end without a real fight. Like, the army of SKillous is just so good at range. He's going to be able to reveal it. He's going to pick units off one by one. I think DNS knows that he has made a grave mistake in this game just by misreading it, over-investing in static defenses he didn't actually need, and not having a proper read on the situation. Like, right now, this is going to continue for a couple minutes, and SKillous is just eventually going to kill the entire army without losing too many units.
Yeah, I think if you're DNS, as much as you might hate it, I think you have to kind of move in and try to dislodge that position, right? And try to kill the batteries, because otherwise you're just taking damage for free endlessly.
I think I would start trading out a couple of my send your Immortals to the other side of the map with something. Like, they're not very important. I think you need to make something, but you need to free up more army supply for your own Tempest. So DNS is going to kind of take a fight here. And this is not a bad fight at all, because he's going to take down all the Stalkers. SKillous seems to be okay with it, because he's even getting the new fancy Tempest upgrade. So we're going to see orange shots. Beautiful.
Oh, nasty. And yeah, this is looking good. There is 5 Tempests on one side being produced at a time, whereas 4 are being produced on the side of DNS. And that's kind of what he's waiting for, is to try to catch back up on the Tempest count. That's not going to happen at the moment for SKillous. So it's a blessing in disguise, in a certain sense, to have lost those Stalkers, right? Like, because they're so supply inefficient at this point.
This is so nice. He's taking out the assimilator as well. Look how much damage they're dealing to a Nexus with the upgrade. I have no idea what the upgrade is called, because you just don't see it very often. But it does give the Tempest, like, I believe 40 or even 60 bonus damage against buildings, and that's when the shot turns orange.
Yeah, I think it's 40. I think it doubles their damage. So yeah, it's pretty nifty. It's good against Zerg as well to dislodge those spores and spines when they are very entrenched. But we are seeing it to great use, and the plan from SKillous coming together from beginning to end, right? Like, it's a masterclass of this style of play.
Absolutely. I can do nothing other than tip my fedora to the way that SKillous has played this, and it's really cool to see as well. Last season, SKillous had a very rough first best of 3 in the group stage against Mana. He lost 2-0, and he kind of just looked outclassed back then. Still had a strong showing overall in the tournament, but this is such a good way for him to start his run in the DreamHack Masters winter, because this has been a perfect series for him. He really looked in control, and I know DNS is maxed out, and I know crazy things have happened, but it really does feel that SKillous is just dominating DNS at this point.
It really feels that way, and I agree with you. I think he really looks to be in control the entire time here, because even at some points where I'm like, okay, how does he get out of this? And then he does the Tempest Contain, right? Like, what a great way to trade efficiently with an army supply deficit and with the heavy commitment onto Stalkers. Like, just everything that he's done has been so methodical and so great up until this point, and I'm not sure how DNS is gonna start, you know, flipping things around.
Well, DNS might win a fight. The problem is DNS doesn't need to win a fight. DNS needs to win 3 fights in a row with the same army. And I just don't think that's going to happen.
Oh,
Good target
God.
fire here by SKillous, as he takes out a couple of the carriers, takes out a couple of the Void Rays as well. And obviously SKillous can build Tempest for days. DNS is going to run out of steam eventually.
Yeah, it'll take a little bit to realize, but he's not going to be able to remax like you were pointing out to.
I love it.
SKillous has more production, more money, more everything, even making efficient use of a time warp. Whoever sees that, Roddy?
I thought he was splitting up his Tempest shots. He is definitely overkilling the Tempest a little bit at this point, but maybe he's like, you know what, I'd rather be safe than sorry, because I know shield batteries are nearby, so I don't want to spread out my damage. SKillous is taking a little bit of damage at home, as DNS did finally send a couple of those Immortals. And we're not going to have a positive impact on the fight to the other side of the map. And it seems like they've got a, you know, they got a base for themselves, which is nice. But look at the bank. You know, SKillous is so rich.
Yes, indeed, and especially with all of these Stalkers that SKillous has been making. I mean, when they fall, the Immortals really have no reason to be back defensively. SKillous, though, continuing to spread all over the place. He is, you know, he's like, this is my map, and he's not, I mean, there's no chance for DNS, let's be real, right? Like, it's, at this point, he's just being choked to death.
Yep, I feel like there's been no chance ever since he made 25 static defenses on 3 bases, while SKillous was already on 4, going up to 5, and created a 30 water lead for himself. I mean, DNS is trying to do whatever he can. Obviously, in a DreamHack game, $125 on the line, and you want to get off to a good start. You're not going to tap out early. And I gotta say, this is a very good fight. Great target fire by DNS. SKillous getting a little bit sloppy, but you know, he can be sloppy for a very long time before he ever loses this game.
Yeah, that really seems to be the case here. Armor upgrades is also coming online. There is a mothership coming for the side of SKillous yet again. So yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, DNS is already at 150 supply, and he can't really go past like 170 or 160 spending all of his money. Not even. Yeah, it seems like he's just stuck at 150 right now. Whereas SKillous can remax like a couple of times. So it's going to be increasingly harder for DNS to trade effectively or efficiently at all. SKillous is just going to run around and capitalize on his advantage.
Yep, SKillous knows that he can split up an army, and DNS is going to have a much tougher time doing so. Every Tempest that DNS loses is one that's very hard to replace. Meanwhile, SKillous just throwing away units left and right. He has unpowered a couple of the Stargates in the main base as well, with the Stalker run by. And I think DNS is not sure. He's like, if I defend my main, I lose my fort base. But if I lose the fort base, I lose the game. But I also don't want to lose my entire main. So, yeah, what do you do?
Yeah, I gotta say, one thing that I love about the way that SKillous played this series is also that he seems to be taking into account the series in itself, right? Like the first game, for example, we were talking about what can DNS do differently when you have a much stronger army. And one of the things that we came to was that static defense, right? Drop some static defense before moving out. Now, he definitely overdid it, but it's also to SKillous' credit because he was hiding an expansion, which he didn't do last game, for example, right? He was ready for DNS to be maybe a little bit turtlier, for him to not move out as quickly as he did. And that's just playing off of the information that he fed his opponent in the previous game, which I absolutely love.
I mean, of course, when you go for the super heavy Void Ray style, you're going for like the most immobile Protoss army there is. It's basically Protoss mech at that point, because there are no gateways, there is no mobility at all. SKillous knows that he can take a couple of reckless fights right now in range of these cannons, in range of these batteries, as he is just kind of beating down DNS one by one. We've got a lot of Dark Templars in the natural too. It's been a beautiful game by SKillous, a beautiful series. What a fantastic way for